Chapter 15. Toulouse, 8th of March, present day. Distinctly fed up with the whole thing and in desperate need of a drink. To say I'm feeling bleak after the conversation is like suggesting Wednesday Addams might have a penchant for the colour black. I need wiser heads than mine on the matter at hand. Phoning Isaac, I give him a rapid recap, and we agree to meet at L'Astronef for a drink. We arrive a few minutes before Isaac is due. The roads diminish in size and activity as we leave the peripherique for the relatively bustling Avenue de Rangueil before turning right into leafier, greener, residential areas. Shared bushes and hedges force the typically unique houses to conform. It dresses them in a uniform identity, a verdant blazer worn to blend them with ash trees lining the road like an honour guard, guiding up towards the roundabout, where L'Astronef stands in pride of place. To live as long as I have can lead to a sense of disconnect from our origins, a loss of humanity if one is not careful. L'Astronef brings back that sense of association with my species and a pride in the best that we can be when we work as a unified force. Intermingled trees and bushes screen L'Astronef, surrounding its entrance on two triangular sides. These lead to the entrance, the natural arrowing speaking of both its humble nature and integral connection to the community. Far more than a bar-restaurant, this locale is a pivotal point for the area's needy. It's all about connection and solidarity. The heart of modern French identity at its best, where the oft-uttered motto of liberty, equality, and fraternity carries some weight and meaning, as well as providing upper-floor space for non-profit organisations tackling issues like housing and education. They run a library where mothers and children in difficult circumstances, whether financial or emotional, can read and enjoy a moment of peace in safety. During the day, they run workshops on art or yoga or social opportunities alongside a restaurant, and in the evening, the bar is alive with a program of events. Their regular open mic covers a musical spectrum, running from traditional accordion players and classical violinists to rappers and heavy blues guitarists, all underpinned with jazz as the bass line. The profits made from the bar and restaurant all support the other associations, or else supply free meals to those unable to pay to feed themselves for the plethora of reasons plaguing our modern world. If I'm going to get a drink, it's good to feel it's helping other people. And not just in the sense of reducing the likelihood I'm going to tear random strangers' heads off because I really need a beer. When we arrive, I grab a pint with an accompanying homemade caramel rum shooter while Aisha settles for pineapple juice. We sit outside to enjoy the milder weather's benevolence, even as darkening skies give way to night's ascendancy. This is the calm before the storm for us. There's a long trip ahead in the morning. A drive that might lead to us finding the knights or, at the very least, their trail. There's only one thing standing in our way, not counting phone dick. Unfortunately, that one thing is Lou Carcoyle. Isaac plonks himself into the nearest seat with his own pint. He taps the bottom of his glass against the metallic tabletop, rolling it round to hear the ring it creates. It's an unusually nervous gesture from a man I associate with always keeping cool no matter the crisis. Mind you, the stakes are so much more personal this time. He cuts straight to the chase. How solid a lead do you think this is from Frank? Could he be playing with us or trying to lead us astray? Aisha shakes her head, a small but certain movement. I despise that creature more than most. Well, I believe he was telling the truth. I shift in my seat. We'll not get anything more out of him now. He's in the wind. Till this is resolved, I reckon. We can't count on him watching our backs. Isaac steeples his fingers. Then I'll keep watch from here. If I can get Nith to supercharge the city's barriers, anything with Elohim origins should make them sing like a canary for us. If our mystery man tries to do something sneaky while you're away, we should know about it. He leans forward. So the question then is, what do we do with the vernacle once we find it, and who in all our fuckery are we facing off with? As ever, succinct, if lacking in linguistic artistry, Paul. I don't feel at ease passing such a potentially powerful magic item over to someone who makes his minions choke on their own animated tongues, doesn't scream of impeccable and trustworthy character as far as actions go. Aisha shrugs. So, let's leave the thing where it is. If the prick behind all this sends people up against Lou, it means fewer people going up against us later on. Let's concentrate on finding the shithead. I'm sick of dancing along to his tune. I bet he's got shit-tasting music. Probably doing a version of Cotton Eye Joe on the fucking harp or something. She pauses, considering. A techno remix of Cotton Eye Joe on the harp. The fiend. She sits back, satisfied with the strength of the imagery. I wish I could do the same. Sadly, there is a massive elephant in the room and it really needs to be addressed. Isaac, I know this is your brother we're talking about, and I remember Jacob and Nanael both, but I think we should entertain the possibility that he isn't being held against his will. Isaac glances sharply upward, but any rebuke dies on his tongue as his gaze drops back to meet mine. There is no judgment in them. He sighs heavily. I cannot reconcile it with the man I was closer to than any other being ever, even Nith. But it has been a very, very long time, and we are all capable of change. Many arrive at a state of grace to fall under intentions well shaped. In some ways, it would be the best possible solution. Aisha looks askance. In what way? If Jacob and Nanael are behind this, that makes us evenly matched. If matters haven't changed dramatically over the intervening ages, I would even favour myself having the upper hand. Additionally, I can't believe Nanael would go along willingly, so if they've debased themselves, it would most likely affect their power. Mine and Nithael's willing and solid partnership would seem likely to have the advantage. In the alternative scenario, our adversary has proven capable of subjugating them and seems unconcerned by our awareness of the same. That seems to warrant their confidence in their abilities. Did the man seem foolhardy or arrogant to you, Paul? I pick up my drink and take a long, much-needed slug. Dangerous. Efficient, yes, but arrogant? More self-assured and with good reason is my read. I agree. Isaac says, grim-faced. If he works for Jacob, then my brother is utterly lost to us. If he's captured the pair, he is a force beyond reckoning. I see no good solution to this Gordian knot. Aisha slams down her glass, the effect only slightly undermined by the spray of sticky juice instead of liquor. If the problem is Gordian, then we treat it exactly the same way. Slice it in half, I replied doubtfully. Come at it directly and, if needs be, with a bit of the old ultra-violence. Sitting on our asses doing nothing isn't a choice, right? So we go along for now and look for the opportunity to feed him his own liver served on a bed of his intestines and seasoned with a reduction of his own stomach juices. You missed your calling as a chef, Laguna. A cannibal chef, but a chef nonetheless. Did I miss it? I've lived a long time, Sabi. Fitted a lot into all those lifetimes. Anyway, am I right or what? I nod, reluctantly. There is as much sense in what she is saying as anything I can contribute, and we've exhausted all the other options, at least for the time being. So, we ride out tomorrow for Hastings and persuade Lou by hook or by crook to give up the veil if he has it. Then, we pull a bait and switch on Phone Dick, that gets us up in his grill without him getting his hand on the vertical. Isaac, once you've strengthened the wards, will you join us? Isaac rubs his knuckles pensively. There's still a few avenues I'd like to explore regarding seeking potential information on both the Veil and this. He presses his lips together. Phone Dick. My goodness, boy, you're not getting any more eloquent with age, are you? I haven't exhausted my resources, but I am scraping the barrel somewhat. And my old friend I mentioned in the Vatican is searching for any further scripture about the powers, real or rumoured, of the relic. I'd feel much happier having that information before we find it. I assume you'll be heading off first thing? Aisha nods when I look back over at her. It's a fair old drive, and I want to make sure we get there while there's still morning to spare. It's been a long time since I was last over that way, and I'd rather get in and out that day if possible. Plus, I add, it's far too close for comfort to Lord. Nobody wants to stay that close to Lord for longer than they absolutely have to. A heavy silence settles over us like an oppressive weight. Lord and its lady are the stuff of talented nightmares, the thing that scares the creatures that go bump in the night. Isaac breaks the pressure with a cough, bringing us back to the moment, although it doesn't shake the uneasy feeling building in my stomach. Then he raises his glass in our direction. I shall join you there once I've secured the wards and completed all my inquiries around mid-morning. I should be only a few hours behind you. Assuming success in finding our lost marvel, we could decide how best to approach its delivery or otherwise to the aforementioned phone penis. I lean forward and whisper conspiratorially to Isaac. Saying dick won't hurt you, Isaac. The dick holds no power over you. Be free from its evil influence. How have you lived for over 800 years and yet still have the mental age of a 6-year-old, Paul? Before either of us can respond, I realise why I've been feeling so uneasy. The wards around the city have been crossed. We're close enough to the edge of Toulouse that me realising happens simultaneously with 3 cars screeching to a halt, pulling up onto the pavement on the other side of the hedges. I can feel the creatures who are in the car, and I don't know whether to laugh or just blow them all up instantly. Werewolves aren't welcome in Toulouse. Too much aggressive alpha posturing and macho bullshit for my likes, and they know it. I should have felt them the moment they came over the boundary lines. To stay undetected for the few minutes it took them to arrive, they must have had help. And I'm willing to bet I can guess who from. 14 lycanthropes spill out of the 3 vehicles, about the maximum size a pack can be without them being so utterly annoying that they start killing each other. A man mountain steps forward, clearly their leader. He has the air of a steroid-abusing gymhead who has swapped his dick for man boobs. I'd lay money he thinks the long, black, bushy sideburns give him a Wolverine air, but combined with his excessive body hair, they just make him look like an Elvis impersonating Sasquatch. The rest of his crew all share a similar body morphology. The shift back and forth between man and wolf is the best workout any gym head influencer could ever imagine. The crew still manages to look cowed. I don't doubt for a minute that their chief is an alpha hole. It comes with the territory of being a pack leader. He looks thrilled to live up to every stereotype of overcompensating wanker. I bet he has an All Lives Matters tattoo somewhere too. Are you Paul Bonhomme? His attempt to intimidate me, pushing his shoulders back, his lip curling up to reveal a hint of fang, his muscles bunching and popping out all over the place, might have been impressive if he wasn't a fucking werewolf. These guys are the cockroaches of the magical world. It's easy enough to squash them, but there are just so many of them. I look around as if confused as Aisha throws up a don't look here spell around the whole area, making sure anyone inside the bar stays there and anyone passing by keeps right on going. Are you talking to me? You talking to me? I don't see anyone else here. You must be talking to me. This is clearly too many consecutive syllables for the oath. His brow furrows, and his lips move as if he's thinking back over what I said. The confusion doesn't stop when his lips do. I watch him count, then recount, to verify he's not made a mistake. I make there to be 3 of you here. I don't think she's Paul Bonham, though. This is the wrong thing to say. Aisha freezes, then swivels her regard towards the Captain Caveman wannabe. I might be. To assume makes an ass out of you and me. Well, only out of you, when I boot your kneecaps up into your pecs. The mutt leers at her, showing that his self-preservation instinct lost the battle with his need to be a dominant, chauvinist ball bag a long time ago. I'd like to see you try, little lay. The crack, followed swiftly by a second crack, makes every member of the pack wince and step back. It is a wise decision. Violence is a language even this arsehole understands. Words and actual language, not so much. Aisha turns towards the rest of the wolves. Right, so who's next? A less aggro version of the alpha currently rolling around, howling on the floor, who is clutching his suddenly much floppier legs, raises a very hesitant hand. I'm second in command. I hold my hand out to Aisha before she can take that as an invitation to kneecap him as well. We need to find out what is going on first. Have you lost your fucking tiny minds? I shake my head disbelievingly. The whole sprouting claws and howling at the moon might seem cool, but it puts them a long way down the ladder in terms of power. The idea of a group of werewolves attacking us is certifiably insane. The beta, and man, I bet that gets right up his testosterone swollen nose as a title, looks very uncomfortable. That he still has his hand in the air doesn't help, so I wave at him to put it down. I then make a rolling gesture to tell him to get on with it. Look, it's not really our choice. Simeon was supposed to give you the phone. He gestures towards their leader, who's calming down as his healing capabilities kick in, although I can't imagine the articulation snapping back into place is a barrel of laughs. Aisha snorts. That's really his name? Simeon? The Simeon Wolf? Brilliant. She goes over to the prone leader to get the aforementioned phone and passes it to me. The screen is unlocked and already has a video playing. A group of men and women are encircled by a cord of talent, corralling them in place. They look in sorry shape. Visible cuts and bruises, their eyes swollen shut, and bloodstains on their clothing. Hello again, Paul and Associates. The tremulous voice is as instantly recognizable as it is cold and emotionless. It occurred to me that as a group, you might not feel your debts to me are worth paying. You might decide to try hunting me instead of what I asked for. My instinct is to rile him up, insult him, and try to knock him off balance, but I have a grim feeling that will end badly for the people in the video. We're already doing what you asked. What is the point of this? I keep my cool, but it takes a lot of work. Lovely words, Bonham, but it would shock me if you were being honest. I don't doubt you're putting far more energy into trying to catch me than finding my vernacle, so I want to make the point very clear. I think a demonstration can be so much more effective than words. Where is Simeon? I swivel the phone to point at the Alpha on the floor. He's feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all. A disappointed tutting carries through the phone speaker. That is as unsurprising as it is unacceptable. So, here's what's going to happen. A gunshot rings out, and a young man flops forward like a rag doll, slumping against the invisible wall made by woven talent. There is a momentary silence, and then what just happened clicks with the group on the screen, and the screaming starts. It only lasts for a moment before the volume cuts off, undoubtedly because of a mute option included in the magic surrounding them, but it is clear from their shell-shocked expressions and agape mouth that they are still wailing, terrified. That was Simeon's partner. Not the first time he's had to pay for his lover's arrogance, though at least it will be the last. The howl from our feet is unearthly, and the level of pain contained within is many, many times worse than it was when Aisha physically broke his knees. So, here are the rules. You will fight my press gang wolves, and you will do so without using your talent. If you use any magic at all, and, Nithael, that includes you, just to be clear, then I will shoot one of these fine people each time you do. And should I run out of their partners, I will move on to their children. The video clicks off, and the phone is just a dead, black brick in my hand. I put it in my pocket for the time being and look at the number 2. He seems almost embarrassed. I reckon he thinks that without our magic, this is going to be an easy battle for them. Sorry about this, wizard. It's really nothing personal. The next words become progressively less clear as his mouth becomes more and more of a muzzle, hair and teeth sprouting as it elongates. He promised he'd set them free if we killed you or died trying. No hard feelings. He's reaching for his own weapons by changing form, so my hand instinctively heads for my sword. Then I stop, because it's in my etheric storage. Accessing it might count as magic. He's got no such limitations. Fingernails stretch, turning to claws, teeth mirroring them in their change to fangs. Fur springs up along flesh that bulges outwards, distorting and twisting, writhing as it enlarges. Bones snap and splinter, changing shape. The sound of them reknitting is even more eerie and unsettling because it's so unnatural. Of course, there's nothing natural about werewolves. At least 7 feet tall, he towers over us, and the animal cunning gleaming in his yellow eyes looks far greater than his limited human intelligence. That 12 other hulking biped beasts flank him probably helps with his confidence. Grief might have distracted the Alpha initially, but the mass change of his pack has pulled him along with it, and he's now the largest wolf I have ever seen. He snarls and snaps, nothing in his eyes but primal rage. Any humanity is lost, submerged beneath misery and beast. I don't want to kill them. Don't get me wrong, under different circumstances I'd have sent them packing with their tails between their legs or running off on their legs with their tail wrapped in packaging after I'd chopped it off. But they didn't choose this. They don't want to be here. As the beta said, it's nothing personal. They're just doing what they have to do to save their loved ones. So we've got to make a decision. Kill them, save the people they love, let them live, kill their partners. Except, despite all the evidence to the contrary, sometimes I do pay attention. Phone Dick told us what comes next. If the adults he has hostage die, he moves on to the kids. Way I see it, there are two types of adults. Those prepared to die willingly to save a child, and those who deserve to die because they chose themselves over a youngling. So, that makes my decision for me. I reckon these wolves are the former, ready to lose their lives to protect their kids, and even if they weren't, I'd kill them to save the youngsters. The ringing of blade on sheath tells me Aisha's reached the same conclusion. Of course, this is going to be easier for her, seeing as how she's actually armed to the teeth. I'm going to be fighting the 14 killing machines with no magic and no sword. Brilliant.